good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're listening or watching from in the world. Of course, welcome back to the Turnt Show right here on GBKM FM. Of course, I'm your host, Romain Redman, and you are locked into the hour from 3 p.m. until 4 p.m. Don't forget, this is where we aim to empower, energize, and of course, just give our young people that energy to, of course, embark upon their new week and their lives. Of course, we always like for you to join our platforms, or of course on Facebook at Great Benning Kingdom Media. You can also get us on YouTube, it's GBKM TV. Also on our website, www.gbkm.fm. You can also get us on TuneIn app, it's GBKM. And don't forget to get our app from our website and take us with you wherever you go in the world. Of course, if this is your first time on the Turnt Up Show, welcome. And if you're returning from last week or previous episodes, welcome back to the show. Of course, I'd like to send a huge shout out to my amazing sponsor, AOF Immigration Canada, who specializes in all your immigration needs, ranging from permanent residency, Quebec investor program, student visa, whatever your need might be, they have you covered. So of course, just contact AOF for your private and your confidential consultations. Their phone number is 416-629-4617. You can also send them an email. It's at info@aofimmigration.com. Or if you're in Canada, you can visit their offices. They're located at 800 Ambler Drive in Mississauga, Ontario. And just let them know that we sent you us here at the Turnt Up Show, as well as GBKM FM. So last time on the show, we presented our second installment to our series, Reset, Get Ready to Go, and this week we'll present our third installment in said series. Of course, last week it was all about your finances, but this week we touch on an issue that is all too urgent and important, and you definitely don't want to miss that. Of course, as I always do here in studios, I have my panelists to break down those discussions here for you, and we invite you to join the conversations. Join the conversation by liking, sharing, as also leaving your comments on our live stream. And we'll definitely try to get to those as we journey through the show. But we'll take our very first break and be right back with so much more after these messages.
Do you know who you are? What is your name?
Sometimes you wonder why and wonder how. Don't be alone, just stay calm, cause even if you choose or not to.
My child, recite the words of this ancient mythology. The wisdom I disperse in this verse, no apology. Memorize to keep you from evil theology. For you, the darker hue, you denied your equality. See, for generations we perpetrated psychology. Divide and conquer each other, really lynch policy. You cannot build each other up, how will you build economy?
Of course, welcome back to the Turnt Up Show right here on GBKM FM. Of course, I'm your host, Romain Redman, and we are going on till 4 p.m. On the Turnt Up Show. So we want to just get you involved in our conversations, as I said before I went on the break. Just join the comment section as we try to get to some of those comments as you do leave them on our live platforms. So today on the show, right, we're talking about an issue that is all too well known to our society, but oftentimes overlooked. Today is being celebrated as World Homeless Day. And as we mark this day, it's not so much a celebration, but a call for us to be mindful of those who don't have the comfort and the warmth of a home or a house. Today on the show, I bring to you my very special guest, our CEO and founder of REST Centers as Restoration and Empowerment for Social Transition, Miss Mccoy, who knows this issue all too well and has been on the front lines fighting to eradicate this from our society. Of course, Ms. Mccoy, thank you so much for joining me on the show here today. And of course, welcome back. Let me start there.
Thank you so much. I really thank you for the opportunity to be a part of this interview today and just a discussion about homelessness. I think it's very strategic that we're having this conversation on a day that has been marked as World Homeless Awareness Day. And by the way, let me just say something. My name is Mccoy. I know it's a little bit hard to say, but
Mccoy.
Mccoy. Yes, Mccoy. But thank you so much, Romain. Thanks for the opportunity.
And I want to say thank you so much for giving me those corrections right there. It's important for us to get, of course, our colleagues and our friends' names correct Let's mark that. But of course, today the issue, homelessness in general, youth homelessness, which you specialize in, and I wouldn't say specialize in, but you have been on the front line fighting youth homelessness for a number of years through your organization, REST, Restoration and Social Transition Centers. But of course, today being marked as World Homelessness Day, though. What is that call essentially from us marking and recognizing such a day like today?
I think it's if everybody takes some time to put themselves in the state of mind, or think about just a day in the life of a homeless person. Let's just put it as that. If you ever think about not being able to have a place to go to call home, and what a home signifies for you. I know for myself, home signifies a place of comfort. Home signifies a place of peace, a place of well-being, a place of belonging. Is that place after you've gone out for the day and you've had a stressful day that you just look forward to going to. Also, as in the winter, which is quickly approaching upon
Very
us,
cold.
with those weather conditions, every time you leave your house, you just back home.
Yes.
Unfortunately, for some of us, we do not even have the ability to think about going back home because there is no place to go to at the end of the day. And it's always about where will I sleep, what bench, what park, what alley, what shelter is available, where can I find that safety. So I would say to the common person that has, a home, which is a privilege to all those who have it, just put yourself in the mind, a state of mind, or think about a day in the life of a homeless person. I think that will that will bring more sensitivity towards the need around this issue of homelessness.
Absolutely, and I like that you touched on the whole thing of sensitivity because, and we are in the midst of a pandemic still, and that has been one of the prevailing themes coming out of it. We ought to be mindful of the fact that even though we might enjoy things and still have deficiencies, there are others who don't even have the basics that we do have. As we're talking about here today, homes, houses.
Absolutely. I mean, the pandemic meant for some of us having to stay home. And I think they coined a term or quote during this entire pandemic. You saw it everywhere: stay home, stay
Yes.
home, stay home, right?
Yes.
And some people, unfortunately, do not have a home. And so home has been coined in the pandemic of that safe place for everybody. And it's better to be at home now during this pandemic than be outside where there is so much more risk and exposure to this virus. Unfortunately, again, we're raising the issue of homelessness, although the appeal to stay home is what's being said to most of us in the pandemic. Some people do not have a home to stay.
Yeah.
Right. And so that really just increases the risk for the homeless at this time. Also, you could think about, the sense of well-being, the mental health in knowing that there is a pandemic and then there is no home to stay. And I think another critical thing is when you think about young people, or you think about young people who are actually pregnant, and you think about people who actually have children and being placed in this position at this time, there definitely needs to be a lot to be done in regards to raising more awareness about homelessness, especially in a country like Canada.
Exactly. One would think that that is something that we don't tackle, we aren't battling right now, and that's something that we don't experience because we are the great Canada, the true north, strong and free. But in the midst of this all, there are persons still falling through the cracks, and it's so sad to say because our children and our young people are among those high numbers.
Absolutely, and it's quite alarming. I believe with the resources and everything that's available in this country, there is much more that can actually be done in regards to homelessness and ensuring that no one has to sleep out on the streets.
Yeah.
When we talk about youth homelessness, we look at numbers like up to 2,000 young people being on the streets across the GTA without a place to call home on a nightly basis. And we're not looking at those numbers on a monthly basis, but based on the statistics, these are numbers based on a nightly basis.
Wow.
And when we look at the provision of housing, I know there is, we have the shelter system, we have transitional housing, but we're talking also about precariously housed, the homeless. When we talk about homelessness, we're not just only talking about those on the streets. So although 2,000 are on the streets, but we have much more than that are precariously housed. I'm not sure, but I had an experience of being precariously housed when I came to Canada. And precariously housed simply means that you're living in a place, but it's not long term.
Yes.
It's really
It's
not
not
long
stable.
term.
There's no
exactly.
security.
It's not stable. Exactly. And what that even does to your peace of mind or your mental health, because you're really living out of your bag. You know this is not my place. I'm just really here and I'm just passing through. So you cannot really settle. So if you cannot settle, your mind is really not settled. So I remember that experience for myself when I first migrated to this land, and I hated so much living out of my bag. I could not unpack my clothes. I could not really set up my accessories or anything. I had to go into my suitcase, grab a clothes and an outfit and wear it and leave, because I know that, okay, this is just a temporary arrangement.
Yes.
So it really does something to your mental well-being. And so we have quite a number of young people out there who are precariously housed. They are living from one friend's couch to another friend's couch, so they are couch surfing. So all of these make up the number in regards to homelessness. And also the alarming prices and the exorbitant prices in terms of even rent in this country. We have a lot of people who are one paycheck away from being homeless. Just
Wonderful.
one paycheck.
Well, not wonderful in that sense, but wonderful in terms of you breaking that down here for us, because homelessness is, we tend to associate homelessness with the fact that you're not in a house. But the fact that you don't have residence in a house means that you're technically homeless too. You're just couch surfing, as you said.
Absolutely, because again, when we think about home, if you think about home, what comes to mind? You think of a place where you feel safe, where you feel belonged. You do not want to leave knowing that, okay, I'll be out of my home. For example, we had a young person who contacted Rest Center just in this past week, and he had to leave the shelter. He had to leave the shelter this week, and he had such a short time to get a stay. So emergency shelter, and you know that the emergency shelter will only provide you with a place to stay for 30 days. But after 30 days, you have to have a place to stay. There is no way you could feel belonged. There is no way you could feel a place of safety. You cannot be settled because you know, okay, I'm here, but I'm only just here temporary. And so you're always alarmed. You're always in that state of emergency. You're always in that state of crisis because you know that, okay, I know that my worker will be telling me, okay, what's happening? You know, you have 2 more weeks in this shelter. What's happening? Have you been able to get a place to stay? So these people are precariously housed. They're not in a home. All of these numbers still count towards homelessness. Yes, they do. For example, young people, sometimes they sleep with their friends, and you know, some friends' parents allow it, so they couch surf. But the parent probably say, oh, he can only stay here for 1 week. We cannot house him so permanently. He has to find a place. Or his friend will just say, okay, you could just sleep here only for tonight. You don't have a place, only for tonight you could stay. So these people are precariously housed. Yes. We have those who are at risk of homelessness, those who are actually on the street who are homeless. We have those who are precariously housed. And again, if we also think about the youth, which is really the young people that we serve, a majority of the young people we serve actually are coming from the foster care system, right? Yes. And in the foster care system, we know that when the young people are 18, and they have the conversation about, okay, now you are independent. You need to actually find a place for you to stay. Some foster care parents would allow or permit the young people to continue to stay with them and pay them some rent, right? Yes. But not all foster care parents allow the young people to stay with them and pay rent. So those young people are also precariously housed because guess what? They've been raised. The government becomes like their parents, obviously, because if they're taken from their parents, so the government is actually actually responsible for protecting, caring for them, providing housing and shelter. But at 18, they're told, okay, now the government will no longer be paying your foster care parent to take care of you. So now you're independent. So now you need to actually take the next step and find a place to stay. So these young people are also at risk of homelessness. They're also being precariously housed. So those numbers continue to increase. If you really think about the entire, homelessness from not just those being on the street, you find that the numbers will keep on climbing, right?
Absolutely.
The person who actually is the person who have actually lost their job. And when we talk about the pandemic, we see that quite a number of the stores. I just heard that the gym is closed again, and I mean, hats up to Justin Trudeau for what he's doing, our Prime Minister for what he's doing to ensure that people probably still have some money coming into them during the pandemic.
Yes.
But again, people who are losing their jobs are precariously housed. We had youth who were housed during the pandemic, and after losing their house, losing their jobs, they had some problems with the landlords before they got their CERB, and I'm sure quite a number of people experienced that during the pandemic. So a lot of people are really precariously housed. And when you are actually spending 90% of your income on rent, you are precariously housed, because what happens to your other need? You're just like a paycheck away from being homeless, right? So those numbers, I think, saying 2,000 nightly, I think it's not really, the statistics doesn't do justice to the entirety of what
The severity of the issue. But
Yeah.
one of the things that I'm picking up from what you're saying too is how homelessness leads to a compounding of so many other ills and problems that occur in society. Because for one, and today I must also mention, is also being recognized as World Mental Health Day also.
Yeah.
And how that compounds to create bigger issues, because you're homeless. Now all that stress and everything that is brought down on you in terms of no security triggers mental health issues, and then that escalates into bigger problems too.
Well, absolutely. I mean, again, why I'm trying to get people to be sensitive towards these things, because sometimes we do not usually stop to just take some time to think about that. I quite remember when we were bringing on, new members to our board, and they heard about the work that Rest Center is doing. I remember one of the board members said, I would never think that there was a need. Like, I go to church, he said to me, and I go home, I'm a good citizen. I have my young people, I have children who are youth, my kids are going to school. And he said it's not so visible. So again, homelessness may not be so visible in some cities, but it does not mean that it does not exist, right? Yes. So maybe if you're in Brampton, you may not really see, maybe, for example, if you go downtown Toronto, on certain streets downtown Toronto, you will see the homeless on the street, but it may not be so prevalent in some other cities, but it does not mean it does not exist. It's existing. And yes, it does affect your mental health, because again, I'm just urging you to put yourself in the shoes of somebody who does not have a place to call home. How would you feel?
Yes.
How would you feel psychologically, not having a place to revert to at the end of the night, not being able to have proper sleep because you're probably out in the cold sleeping on a bench? How would you feel? How would you feel if every night you probably had to call the number to see, okay, where can I have a room? Where can I have a room to stay? And I was speaking to somebody just recently who spoke to me about the shelter system, a previous homeless youth. And some of the homeless people do not really like the shelters because they feel that they are re-traumatized. And he just mentioned to me in the shelter system, a lot of things happen, like people steal your belongings, and there is harm reduction being done. So you could easily see people who are actually passing out on drugs in the shelter. Yes. You could easily see things that are happening and they're just allowing it to happen because of harm reduction. So it's not the best environment to be in, in some emergency shelters. And so I have worked with young people who have actually decided that sleeping on the street is better than being in the shelter because of what happens in the shelter, right? So think about that in mentally, that even when you're coming together in a shelter and you do not feel safe because of all the different kind of people that are coming together in that place, and those who are hanging out on drugs, and those who are cursing, those who are stealing, and all of that. So it definitely has a big impact on mental health.
And then when we look at young people, because young people are in the formative years, they call it, where things that they're exposed to right now will, in so many cases, determine how they matriculate into society and how they grow and mature and fit in, right? And if at a young age, the trauma of not having, and I go back to the word again, comfort that you mentioned, and security, and that safety net, right? So that they feel comfortable in terms of owning themselves and also really trying to make themselves into productive members of society.
Absolutely. So when you look at the numbers, you see that kids who come out of the foster care system, they do not do as well. They do not perform as well. The numbers are there to prove itself. That in regards to even completing the grade 12 education, you have higher number of kids who are exiting out of the foster care system as school dropouts. Okay, and if you really, again, I'm urging people to think about it. At 18, you're really, as a young person, you're deciding about your life. You're deciding about the next chapter of your life. When you're probably at 16, between 16 and 18, the conversations you want to have is, what would I like to be when I grow up? What university would I? This is the opportunity for you to really begin to dream. This is your opportunity to dream, and you have those kinds of conversations about where you want to go to school. But when you're in the shelter, when you're in the foster care system, they begin to prep you about the fact that you're moving forward, the fact that you may no longer be able to stay with your foster care parent, and you need to begin to think about that. Now, thinking about at 18, when you should probably be thinking about university or school, and you have to be thinking about housing. That's a big thing. That's really a big thing, and for that reason, you find that a lot of them, they do not complete grade 12, or they may start college and not be able to finish, because at that time, you begin to think about survival. I have to pay rent. You see that all the time.
Yes. And life begins in one of the hardest way, because there is no kind of like anything to launch you off, but you have to do that launching for yourself also.
Absolutely. And then you lack the other thing again, and that all talks about, and if you look at the whole scenario, it all has to do with the mental well-being. Not only that you are prepared to know that I'm losing my house, so I'm losing the place probably I've been for the past year, the past 6 months or whatever, I'm losing the comfort of that. But a lot of those foster care children, they do not have the external support, so they do not have supports of their family members. Some of them do not have that family member to go back to. And yes, taking a step to actually get a house, during the holidays, you probably feel like you want to be home with your family. This is Thanksgiving weekend. You probably want to know that, oh, hey, I have a family to go to. But for some of those young people who are homeless, they do not have families to go to. I mean, I could bring up just recently we had I think yesterday, one of our workers contacted me and she said, I just completed an intake, and this young lady absolutely had no food to eat.
Wow.
Right now, we do not deliver groceries this weekend, but we had to make a decision to make sure that this young lady has food to eat because it is Thanksgiving. And this particular young lady who reached out to us, actually, she was staying in a basement, and it was an unsecured basement. It's not a legal basement, and I think it caught fire. And when it caught fire, and the cops got involved, they say everybody have to evacuate and get out of this place because it's not illegal. And you find a lot of young people are reverting to that, places that are not safe, again, because of the cost, right? Yes. And so this young lady, she lost everything. And not only did she lose everything, but everything she had now, she's thinking survival. I need to get a place to stay. So she's putting away all her dollars and going without food.
Wow. And that
right. So these are the cases that are so real that we work with on a weekly basis, on a daily basis. These are the things that we are seeing. And so I really want, again, to sensitize people, to let people know that this need is real. I'm sorry, but I want to say this. A lot of times I think when we are not sensitized around these needs, and perhaps I would be that person as an immigrant in Canada, coming from St. Lucia, everybody talks about, Canada, and you would not think that there is poverty.
Yes.
When you think about poverty, you think about the third world country. You think about probably Africa, or you think about Haiti, you think about the islands, but poverty exists in Canada. I just mentioned this was a young lady who had no food to eat. So again, knowing that these needs, they are out there and they are real. They are real.
Wonderful. So in regards to, with the backdrop of COVID-19, what would you say is one of the biggest revelations that this has definitely brought to the fore? Not saying that it has just emerged, but just was pushed to the fore for people to really realize, stop, pause, and become sensitized to this issue?
I think one is the fact that we have a lot of the young people. I'm just going to talk about what we work with. So, a
Yes.
lot of our young people, in order and be able to secure rent and have a place to stay, some of them have to have odd jobs, and a lot of those jobs ended up being, retail or being
Yes.
in restaurants. And because of COVID-19, all of this had to shut down. So this puts them in a place now where they are unable to even continue to afford their rent. For example, we had one young man in particular who had a job lined up with what's the name of the place, Canada Wonderland.
Yes.
And as a result of COVID-19, I mean, there was no Canada Wonderland and there is no job. And so they're having problems with their landlords. So I think, again, just not being able to have, it shows the fact that the rent prices are extremely high, and people are really putting a lot of their money into rent, more than 60% of the income. So it definitely shows the impoverishment and the poverty we have, and how so many people are just at the risk of homelessness. I think
Yes.
it just shows that many people, not just young people, but they're just a paycheck away from being homeless. I think that the pandemic really brought about that awareness. For us as a center, we knew about it, but I think for a lot for others.
Wonderful. And rest. Let's get to rest now. Um, Rest saw the need, and rest answered to that call. Tell us a little bit more about what rest does, and the programs that are being offered by rest centers. And that's, of course, the Restoration and Empowerment for Social Transition Center, Mccoy, Kauai.
It's okay.
Yes.
It's okay. It's okay. Quite, it's okay. I stumbled on the name too myself in the beginning.
I'm going to get it before we leave the air today, though.
Anyway, so in regards to rest center, so again, our main clientele is young people. We serve young people, and especially young people who are aging out of the foster care system, and we serve racialized youth. Okay, Black youth. You find that the Black youth are widely overrepresented in the foster care system. In fact, when we started off, majority of our referrals, because we are partnered with PLCAS. Of recent, we are also partnered with the Queens Youth Shelter, and we're still building those partnerships, and we are opening up to allow young people to also refer themselves into our services.
Yes.
But in regards to our partnerships, a majority, I would say more than like 90% of referrals we get are Black young people in need of housing. And so we serve Black and racialized youth, and we seek to create housing options for them. And the way we do that is we partner with community members who may have a basement or may have a room for rent. And so our housing outreach worker would actually be in the community, meeting with those community members, telling them about our program, telling them what we're looking for. Because we also really want to empower young people, and we understand that those young people aging out of the foster care system or coming out of homelessness, they may not be your perfect tenants, okay, because we're dealing with youth. So for example, we have young people who probably may not necessarily understand how to recycle, or they may not really probably understand maybe the system you have in place in regards to doing the laundry. And so we tend to sensitize the landlord so they could understand the dynamics of the young people that we're working with. And we create a relationship with the landlord so that they will always be somebody that they could talk to in case the young people are having a problem. So we do that as an eviction prevention strategy.
Wow.
And so we will check in with the young people and check in with the landlord to make sure everything is going on. We provide life skill training and workshops to help those young people, and we connect them to other resources and services for ongoing case management. So our case manager would do anything from goal setting with them, planning whether they want to probably go back to school or get an employment or get a career or finish their grade 12. So the case support manager would do that, help them with budgeting so they understand how to probably budget and live within their means. The other thing we've done as a result of the pandemic, thanks to our funders, we've been able to provide subsidy for those young people, and that really makes a big difference, because I think, I'm not sure why it is, but I think that rent prices continue to just skyrocket, right?
That's a whole
When we
economic
have,
things that we have to look at for a different time on the show. But of course, it is
yes.
true. Rent prices keep going up, and it has an explanation. Not something that we'll be getting into on the show here. But of course, the reality is that rent prices are increasing.
Yeah, but then the thing is, like, how do you expect when we get quotes like $1,100 for a room, one bedroom? It's not even a basement. It's a shared space, and it's $1,100, right? I
Yes.
remember our housing worker went out to meet with a landlord, and it was 300. It's a three-bedroom basement, and it's $365 per bed, and the landlord has six beds and rents out a room to two individuals. So this is the craziness of what's happening out there, which is actually putting those young people at more risk, right?
Yes.
It's the risk is greater because with what they have, it makes it very difficult for them to be able to get a place to stay. When you get $1,100, then perhaps your income is like $900 a month. How will you be able to provide $1,100? The
True.
other thing we do, the part of advocacy, because we know that a lot of our young people competing against the general market, who's
Yes.
also looking to become tenants of landlords, they may not have or meet all the criteria of the landlord. So anything from credit history, or some of them may actually have maybe some encounter as a youth with the criminal justice system. They may
Yes.
not have previous landlord tenant experience to be able to provide
Reference.
reference letters and all of these different things. So for this reason, we advocate on their behalf. We build relationship with the landlords. We sensitize the landlords so they could understand the need and be aware of it and be willing to come in, not just as a landlord, but also as a supportive agent. We call them bridge builders because our program is called Bridge of Hope program. So this is just one of it. And in regards to also what we're doing in response to the pandemic, again, the food insecurity is a big thing. I think I just mentioned that, and that was a need that also came up because of the pandemic. And
Yes.
so we're providing deliveries on a bi-weekly basis to young people who are actually on our list, who are experiencing food insecurities. And these are also Black youth. And we have a line that we open. So we open the support line because we know that one thing that the pandemic took away our freedom. We may
Yes.
not have the ability to, socialize how we used to, or have access to our friends the way we used to, or go to the
So
places that
true.
probably provided us some comfort, the isolation, right? And
Yes.
so the support line is there for the, Black youth. It's a um, Black youth support line. So there is cultural sensitivity. So if they feel like they want to speak to somebody, they want to talk about, how they feel in regards to the pandemic, or just want to reach out even for to book informal counseling, they have access to calling those lines, and we have the workers, they are able to book counseling sessions with them, virtual support groups for them. And we also have those virtual also workshops that we're doing, called a series called Homeless to Success, and training them on how to, become a good tenant, how to get a good landlord, what are your your tenant rights as somebody who's renting. I think we're going to be having one where we're dealing with finances and teaching them on how to do a budget and where they could open a bank account, how they could save. We're partnering with one of the banks to do that. I think it's Scotia, but these are some of the things that we have been doing. Rest Center is great.
And one of the things, let me just say it right here. We want to say thank you so much, your team, Dagmar, as well as Arrest in general, because when we talk about, and I always say on the show, the mission of the U-Turn Up show is to bring about solutions to the problems. Having the conversation is one thing, sensitization is one thing, but actually acting right upon the information that you have to help resolve the issue is another one. So based on what you've told me here, I'm getting 3 programs that is currently being offered by REST. Bridge of Hope, the Basic Necessities, the Bare Necessities program, as well as the Black Youth Matter Support Line. Those are the 3 programs that you currently offer.
Yes, that's correct. You named it right. The Breachable program, the bare necessities, which is the food program, and the Black Youth Matter support line. That's right. These are the three
Absolutely.
programs we have running
And
at this time now.
with that, Ms. Mccoy, of course, we'll take our very second break. Just a pin in that discussion right there. And we'll take our very second break right here on the Alternative Show. But of course, so much more to unpack, so much more to unpack about this urgent and important issue in our society. And as we continue our telecast today, I want you to just bring someone along to join and listen, because within every single telecast we have, there is, of course, something for you to take away, and a call to action that is not even, it doesn't even require all that much. It requires sometimes just a simple tap of a button and just a simple push and spreading the word. So just stay tuned, okay? We'll be right back with so much more.
Do you know who you are? What is your name?
Sometimes you wonder why and wonder how. Don't be alone. Just stay calm, cause even if you choose or not to.
My child, recite the words of this ancient mythology. The wisdom I disperse in this verse, no apology. Memorized to keep you from evil theology. For you, the darker hue, you denied your equality. See, for generations we perpetrated psychology. Divide and conquer each other, really lynch policy. You cannot build each other up, how will you build economy?
And of course, welcome back to the Alternative Show right here on GBKM FM. Of course, if you're just joining us, we have been live since 3 p.m., but we take care of you. We have you covered. We always post our videos back to our platforms. Those are on Facebook at Great Benin Kingdom Media, on YouTube at GBKM TV. You can also get us on our website for repeats. That's www.gbkm.fm. Also get us on TuneIn app for repeats also, and get our app from our website and take us with you wherever you go in the world. Of course, today on the show we have, I'm being joined by CEO and founder of course, Restoration and Empowerment for Social Transition Centers, REST, Miss Dagma Mccoy. Got it this time? You got it, right?
It's okay. Just call me Dagma, it's okay.
Dagma, okay. But of course, Dagma, thank you so much for that. Before we went for the break, we're talking about REST, answering the call to one of those issues that require urgent attention and requires immediate resolution as youth homelessness. Now, we spoke about the Bridge of Hope program, which is essentially trying to get young people into housing. We spoke about the Bare Necessities program, which of course provide food vouchers and food items to those vulnerable youth in our society, and particularly you operate outside of Peel, the region of Peel. That's where your focus is. And also the Black Youth Matter, got that, support line for those young persons who just might need someone to talk to, who needs that support during these harsh times. But of course, Dagma, while we were talking about many of these, we didn't go into necessarily the eligibility for a lot of these programs, because we do know there is a great need, and a need at which right now the capacity isn't there to fulfill and to eradicate this issue entirely. So what are some of those eligibility criteria which have to be met for these programs? Let's start with the, of course, Bridge of Hope.
Mm-hmm. So for our Bridge of Hope program, we work with youth who are homeless or at risk of homelessness. And so youth who age out of the foster care system, we have established partnerships with the PLCAS, and the independent workers would contact us and refer a young person that is aging out of the foster care system. Yes. And when we receive those referrals, we would work with those youth, because we understand that, they're coming out of, their foster homes. And yes. So now they need a place to stay. And so usually those young people are 18. And so our group, in terms of age category, we work with you from 17 to 24. So that's the age group that we work with. Also, we are Black focus, and so we work with, Black young people. Our food program is for Black young people, again, who are experiencing food insecurity. Most of our young people are currently on rest programs, so the young people that we work with who have aged out of foster care or in the shelter system. But we also have some partnership going on with Peel Welfare. So we get young people who are actually on OW
Yes.
who are also receiving those food assistance from us. Going back to the Bridge of Hope program, other than being at risk of homelessness, we have, the age group. We're also looking at young people who has the motivation or who are actually willing to, have something, whether they want to go back to school or they want to go get a job. So we're also looking for young people who are motivated, who actually just need a break or need that help.
Yes.
That doesn't mean not accept most young people, but that's the criteria to receive the subsidy. And I'll tell you the reason why we do this. We hate to set up those young people for failure again.
Yes.
And so if we have the ability to provide them with a subsidy, and the subsidy is not that big, $200. So we provide them with a subsidy of $200, but it's for a period of 6 months or a period of 1 year. We believe that when they work with our case support manager in terms of helping them with setting some goals, whether it's getting themselves into an employment or back to school or something, we're hoping that within that year of receiving that subsidy, we're able to put them in a place where they can become independent and be able to maintain the rent.
Yes.
We do not want to set them up for failure and provide them with the $200. And when this $200 runs out, then they're homeless again. So that's why for the Bridge of Hope program and to actually enter into that subsidy program, we're looking for young people who are motivated, but really just need that break in order for them to be able to get to where they plan on getting. And so we support them and we work with them so that they could get to that goal of becoming independent. So this is the criteria for the Bridge of Hope program.
Yes.
In regards to the support line, again, we serve Black young people at risk of homelessness or who are homeless. And so the support line is open for you from the age of 13 all the way to 29. You could call our support line.
And what's that phone number to call?
It's 905-863-1118. So 1118. So that's 905-863-1118. And they call the line, it will give them the option of pressing 0 for the Black Youth Matters support.
Wonderful. And you just call in and there's someone there to assist. Is it a 24-hour line?
Yeah, so our line is not 24 hours. The line is available from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. That's Monday to Friday, 2 to 10 p.m. Monday to Friday.
Okay, wonderful. And as for the Bare Necessities program, because that's one of those, that's the one that stands out for me because of how it was born, right? There was a need for food during the pandemic.
Yes.
There were people, young people in our community who were without food. We're not talking about shelter at this moment, even though shelter is an integral part of it, but without food, which is a sustenance for living, right?
Absolutely.
And from that recognition, of course, REST came up with the Bare Necessities program. How does that program operate? And again, eligibility for that one.
So again, the Bare Necessities program, you're so right on that. So there was a need for, there was food insecurity. Some of the young people are without their jobs. Some of them do have children at home who cannot be in school. And we know when we have kids, they eat a lot too, right? And not being able to. So all of these are reasons why there is a great need for food, especially if you have kids at home. But also we know that with the pandemic, there's a lot of different things that came up in regards to the way we do our shopping.
Yes.
It's not as easy, even for myself, it's not as fun as it used to be for those of us who enjoy shopping.
True.
Right? And so we do delivery. Some of the young people we find they do have social anxiety and they do not like to go out. So our list is actually mixed in terms of what we deliver. So some young people who are experiencing social anxiety and do not want to go out into the grocery supermarket, we give them the option of customizing what they want in terms of groceries. And so we
Yes.
provide them with groceries. We deliver it to their homes. We do take the measures that are necessary. So our worker does have a mask. We do not touch the young people or anything like that. We do practice social distancing, and so we make sure we follow all those guidelines, and the groceries are delivered to them. And some of the young people on the list receive a grocery gift card that gives them the ability to be able to choose the items that they do want. Some of the feedback we've gotten, even most recently, is some of the young people are saying they now have the opportunity to choose. Getting a gift card means so much to them because
Yes.
some of them used to go to the food banks, and when they go to the food bank, they do not have a choice. And they found that being able to have a card, they have more options and they could choose healthier options. So this was one of the feedback we got.
Yes.
But to be able to qualify to be on the grocery list, again, they have to be identified as racialized youth, and also they have to be identified as young people who are having food insecurity or who are of low income.
Yes. Wonderful. And Dagmar, thank you so much for that here again. But as we do approach our 1 hour mark, wow, can't believe that so quickly time is really flying away from us.
You
But
have
of
it
course,
done, I guess, thankfully.
can I tell you, but we have, of course, recognized ways in which us, as stewards for humanity, and I love to use that phrase because that's what I truly believe. We're stewards for humanity. There's a natural call on each and every person here to be mindful of their brothers and their sisters in human existence, right? So what can we do to help rest and help these young people?
Absolutely. I think when we're talking to people, let me just say this and I'll see how we could help. I know a lot of people are of the notion that young people that we are supporting or youth who are homeless choose to be homeless. So I want to make that point that no one would choose to be on the street instead of being in a home,
Yes.
right? No one chooses that kind of lifestyle for themselves. A lot of times they are just victims of circumstances. And when we talk about young people aging out of foster care again, they did not choose to be out of foster care at 18, right?
Yes.
And so we have a broad range of reasons why those kids are actually in foster care or young people are homeless. So just to see that. And what you could actually do to assist rest is one, we always have ways of volunteering. That's if you go to our website, restcenter.org, we're always looking for people who are willing to engage, willing to volunteer. And so there's always a great opportunity in terms of volunteering. Landlords, I would like to make an appeal. If you have an extra room in your house, if you never even thought about being a landlord, but you just have an extra room, I want you to be sensitized today and know that there's somebody that is out there without a home, that your extra room can actually provide support to a young person transitioning out of foster care who will eventually getting a home will help them to set up their life to be able to become successful. So if you have a room, reach out to us. Again, our website, www.restcenters.org, or you could definitely call us 905-863-1118. You could call us and you could contact us, and we would be so happy to hear from you if you have a room or if you have a basement and you just thought that, oh, I have a basement, I don't know what I could do with this basement. Reach out to us. If you know of anybody, you may be listening today and you do not have any of these things, but you know of other people who are landlords or who have a basement or have an extra room, this would definitely be so helpful to us. Another way that you could support us is your financial contribution. Again, we're a charity. We're able to provide you with a tax deductible for your donation. If you go to our website and you make a donation, we again are providing subsidies dollars a month for those young people. And so if you are able to provide a financial donation or become a monthly partner, you'll only empower us to be able to provide this support to more young people than we're currently being able to provide for. And you could also support our food program. Our list continues to grow because we continue getting calls about young people who are in need of more food. So you could decide to sponsor a young person by providing food support. And there is one thing I didn't mention that's just
Yes.
part of the Bridge of Hope program. We do what we call we provide what we call a starter pack. At this particular time, our starter packs, we are able to provide, it's a maximum of $200. But usually if we get a young person a home, a lot of times they're starting from scratch. So they will not probably have pots and spoons and equipment for their washrooms and bed sheets and all of that. So our starter packs, that $200, assist us in providing them with a starter pack so that they could make their new place feel like home. So if you probably would like to support us even in providing a starter pack to a young person, you could also contribute by donating to that. Again, our website is www.restcenters.org. And then I implore you to just get involved. You could look for us on Facebook. We're always sharing content in order to raise awareness about this issue. You could get on board and raise awareness too, because this is World Awareness for Homeless Day. So share the news, share what you've learned today, and let others know that this is very critical and this is actually a need. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And we look at it from the individual level, but of course, we do know that there are two major actors in society, which is, of course, our government and us. And you've alluded earlier to some of those high rent prices. You've alluded to and what is happening in the market there. And again, so what can our government officials with responsibility for things like social housing and all those areas of social transition and social development really get involved and help the situation to and hopefully eradicate this ill in society? And I want you to give me, from your perspective as a frontline individual who has seen this for many years, what do you think the government needs to do to make this better?
Recently, let me just start with the positive. Recently, I saw that Justin Trudeau put in money for emergency housing to actually be developed as a result of the pandemic. And so some bodies and some shelters have the ability to now purchase things like motels and turn it into housing for those young people. But I'm more about sustainability.
Yes.
And I think sustainability, we're not just thinking crisis and emergency. And so crisis and emergency will always, it's actually going to cycle. You're going to find that it will recycle. Because if you put people in a state of emergency and you put them in an emergency shelter, then what happens after, right?
Yes.
And so for sustainability, I think that the government should really look into the prices in regards to the market, and also putting more money into transitional housing for young people. I think that's so important. Transitional housing can actually take young people and give them a better opportunity in their future. And so, for example, we work out of Peel, and Peel has one transitional housing in Mississauga that serves young people. And with transitional housing, it gives the young people an opportunity to actually build and get independent and get the right supports they need so that they could become more successful long term.
Yes.
Right. So I think if the government think more about sustainability and come out of thinking about let's just curb the crisis and let's just curb the crisis and let's just curb the crisis, it will help us, and they will end up saving a lot more money. They will end up saving a lot more money because it's more expensive to actually house somebody who's homeless than actually giving them a place to stay. Another thing is, I think more need to be done. For example, I know that there is what they call it, the portable housing solution or whatever. Yeah, the portable housing subsidy that people are able to get. But some people who are actually in need of it, they cannot access that service, right? So I know an individual who was on the brink of being homeless and actually tried to access that service. And they told her, if you were not invited to apply, you're not eligible. So some people are really exempted. So there may be services, but maybe there is not enough of it. And so that also needs to be looked into, that even people who probably they're not on the housing waiting list, but they are maybe a paycheck away from homelessness, then something can be done. And also, as the prices continue to skyrocket, I think something needs to be done because it's just not balanced, right? Minimum wage is $14 an hour, and if you have a $14 an hour minimum wage and your income is probably $1,800 a month, I'm not sure.
$1,600, yes.
$1,800
providing
an
that you
hour.
work every single hour that you are supposed to work, which is the 8 hours per week minimum.
Exactly, and thinking
8
that
hours
a
per day,
rent of a
sorry.
two-bedroom, and thinking about a rent of a two-bedroom apartment in Toronto is like what, $22,000, 2,000 more. So, like how, like where, how do you curve this? How do you curve the homelessness when you have minimum wage at $14 an hour, but then what they're bringing in on a monthly basis cannot even pay for the rent,
Yes.
right? So
Well,
all of
that's a
these
part,
different things.
I must say, Dagmar, that's a part of a much bigger problem. And I wouldn't say problem depending on how you look at it. But of course, there needs to be something in terms of getting us to that living wage standard. I would definitely agree with you on that, Dagmar. But of course, time is up on us. Time is up on us, Dagmar. So we're just going to just push out some important things here that were mentioned during our discussion. And one, we want to draw attention to the Black Youth Matter Support Hotline. Don't forget the phone number to call for that is 905-863-1118. And of course, the line is open from 2 p.m. until 10 p.m. and that's from Mondays to Fridays, correct?
Correct.
Wonderful. And the ways you can get involved as an individual, as someone who has heard the message here today and is committed to helping to eradicate this issue, you can also go to their website. It's www.restcenters.org, and let me spell that out, RESTCENTRES, correct? .org. Perfect.
Yes,
and you can also make your donations there. Of course, they're a registered charity, so you do have the incentive of having your tax receipt, which you can later claim again on your taxes. Of course, food program is always in need of support, so if you have donations for that. And a quick question in that regard, Dagmar, what if you have actual food items? Let's say you go shopping and you pick up an extra few items. Is there somewhere we can drop these off?
Yeah, so most of our workers are operating virtually now, so we do not have a place so that they could actually drop the food.
Yeah.
But if they want to give a gift card, we'll accept a gift card.
Okay. Okay, wonderful. And of course, just get in contact with REST. And the phone number for REST, again, Dagmar, one more time. Could you please repeat that for us?
905-863-1118. Again, that's 905-863-1118.
Perfect. And Dagmar, let me just say thank you so much for joining us here on the show today. Such an insightful and what an urgent call it was. It was definitely a wake-up call because especially when we add the backdrop of COVID-19 and what that is unearthed and brought to the fore, we see how much of a privilege it is for some of us, for myself here, and let me put myself in that shoes. So come here and sit in the comfort of a studio, then I know that I have a driver on the outside waiting for me and that is going to take me to my front door and I'm going to walk in. So I am going to commit to assisting REST here today, and I implore you all who are listening, who are watching, to commit also to helping someone else, because as much as life is good right now, it only takes one situation, one instance, for everything to go upside down and for us to find ourselves in situations like these. And who knows?
Absolutely.
We might need help like this, right? We might need the help just like this. Well, of course, Dagmar, we certainly look forward to having you on the show here again. But of course, thank you so much for your second visit here to the U-Turn Up Show.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thanks for the great work that you're doing, Romaine. Thank you so much.
It is absolutely my pleasure. And to you at home, thank you so much for tuning in. Of course, the program is on our platforms each and every week, so you can definitely go check us out as it gets posted after the live wraps. But of course, youth homelessness is not something that we can ignore any longer. In the backdrop of our theme, which is reset, get ready to go, we have to ensure that no one gets left behind. It is incumbent upon us as human beings to recognize the privileges that we do have and to also extend a hand to someone who doesn't have the same privileges that we are afforded. As we move into 2021, move into a new century, decade, Let us be mindful of those suffering in our society and try your very best to help and to ease those suffering. I want to say a huge shout out to my sponsor, AOF Immigration Canada, who of course specializes in all your immigration needs, ranging from permanent residency, business visitor visa, whatever your need might be, they have you covered. Of course, you can give them a call. It's 416-629-4617. You can also send them an email. It's at info@aofimmigration.com, or you can visit their offices. That's of course if you're in Canada. Their office is 580 Ambler Drive in Mississauga, Ontario, and that's Unit 20. And just let them know that we sent you over. I want to just say a huge shout out and thank you to my in-studio team for keeping us always blinging and dazzling on air each week as we bring you those urgent, important, and of course hard-hitting discussion. I wanted to say thank you so much. And as we always encourage you on the U-Turnt Show, until next time, 3 until 4 p.m., same host, Romain Redmond, same station, GBKM FM, your number one web radio station right here in the great city of Toronto. Just keep reaching, keep achieving, and of course, let us all keep changing the world. See you next week.
Do you know who you are? What is your name?
Sometimes you wonder why and wonder how. Don't be alone, just stay calm, cause even if you choose or not to.
My child, recite the words of this ancient mythology. The wisdom I disperse in this verse, no apology. Memorize to keep you from evil theology. For you, the darker hue, you denied your equality. See, for generations we perpetrated psychology. Divide and conquer each other, really lynch policy. You cannot build each other up, how will you build economy?
The Amazon Superflyer is a digital flyer that was built to make it easy and convenient for you to acquire any products you need on Amazon. It is designed to allow you to touch or click the photo of the product you wish to purchase without searching or navigating to find it. Let me show you just how easy it is to use. This is how you use the Amazon Superflyer Pharmacy Edition. You can come down here to an item that you wish to purchase, like this mask right here, and if you click on it, it'll take you right to Amazon, so you can add it to your cart or buy it immediately, and also use your Amazon account for the purchase. Amazon handles the shipping, Amazon handles the payment processing. All you do is add it to your cart and buy it immediately, just with a touch or with a click. It also has 6 pages of items that you might wish to purchase in different departments. Along the side, if there's an item that you don't see that you'd like to purchase, then you can go to the link here on the right, click on that link. It'll bring you immediately into the full universe of masks that are available at Amazon. You can pull up a page like the children's page, scroll down to get cough, cold, and flu medicines, thermometers, juice boxes, or any other types of items that you might want for your child. With the Amazon Superflyer, you can be just a touch away from anything. The Amazon Superflyer is a digital flyer that was built to make it easy and convenient for you to acquire any product